So good day. Our topic for today is purchase journal. So hopefully you subscribe to this channel. And so what is a purchase journal? A purchase journal is a specialized type of accounting log that keeps track of orders made by business on credit or on account. So this is also known as what we call as our purchase book or purchase day book. So remember, if you were registered in the BIR, you were given for additional books. And usually these are the special journal. So you have the purchase journal, the sales journal, the cash receipts journal, and the cash disbursement journal. So purchase journal is the opposite of your cash disbursement journal because all record in this particular accounting book is only those purchases that are made on credit. And whereas those that are made on cash purchases are recorded in your cash disbursement journal. Okay? So, when items are purchased on credit or on account, the transaction is recorded in this book. And take note, no cash purchases are recorded in this journal because it is recorded in our cash disbursement journal. Right? So, purchase journal normally look like this. So, we have the date. The date is where we record the date of the transactions or normally the invoice date. Okay, we also have the supplier's name. This is where we put the name of the business or the name of the supplier we purchased the particular product. Then we also have the particular because in some cases they would usually put a brief descriptions of the product they had purchased. Because if you could also eliminate this if you only have one product being sold. Okay? So, but for online seller who usually had a lot of different product, then you need to put a particular so that you know where this particular product is being bought or purchased. Next, you also have the purchase invoice. In some books, it's called reference, so that you would be able to put the invoice number or the official receipt number on a particular product you had bought. Then you have the folio. The folio is where used as your cross-referencing on what ledger you put the particular entry in this journal. Then you also have the term. The term column represent the terms of payment. Okay, so that, for example, or the terms of payment allowed by the supplier. For example, there are 10 over or 5 or 2 over 10, meaning you will be able to get 2% discount when you pay within 10 days. And N over 30, meaning no discount if you pay after the 10th day and within the 30 days. Okay? So, you also have the column for payables because all purchases are recorded in payables and debit on purchases. But in some book, they would just only combine these two. Why? Because normally the purchase and the accounts payable are the same for this purchase journal. But there are instances when you also purchase not the merchandise itself, like the supplies, the furniture. That's why they have these other accounts debited. So for the other purchases other than your merchandising. Okay? But in some book, it's eliminated because for our purchase journal, since nowadays, it's more on the Excel format, you would be able to create your own. But for the manual, usually, it look like this. Or in some accounting or in some BIR books, since they would be given you a columnar, you'd be able to do just like the Excel to come up with your own means to write or your own columns. Although the first part is for you to apply the date, the supplier, the particular, the invoice, the folio, and the term. But if you don't usually use the term for the purchases, you could also eliminate that. Okay? So let's see. So we have now our sample transaction. The transaction completed by KKR Trading Company for the month of January 2020 are listed below. So on January 5, purchase merchandise on account from Rich Company for 1.5, invoice number 201, term 2% discount if KKR will pay in 10 days and no more discount if they pay on the 11th date up to 30 days. So this is what the particular. So this is the term of payment, the N over 10 and N over 30. Next, you have January 10, purchase merchandise on account from Kevin Corporation for 4,100. Invoice number 110. Term 5% discount within 15 days and no more discount in 60 days. And then on January 15th, purchase merchandise on car incorporated for 36, invoice number 215, no term of credit. So for January 20, purchase merchandise on account from Kevin Corp 8,000, invoice number 143, and then 5% discount if paid within 15 days and no more discount if paid after 15 days but within 60 days. So on January 25, purchase merchandise on account from Rich for 7,000, invoice number 541, discount the same. And then on January 31, purchase merchandise on account from Kevin Corp for 3,000, invoice number 431. Term. So how does our invoice look like or purchase invoice look like? Actually, purchase invoice is just like our sales invoice. But take note, this is for this one, we are the buyer and the seller is the other party. So for this one, the seller is Rich and the buyer is the KKR Trading, or which we are the accountant. Okay? So take note, this has the name of the supplier, the address, and the telephone number of the supplier. Then the TIN or the tax identification number. Then you would see in some of your invoice there is an NV and VAT. So it's meaning for this one, this is non-value added tax. Whereas for the VAT, it's a value added tax. Meaning on the top of your purchase, there is also tax that you are paying. So for the VAT transaction or the value added tax, you are paying for both. You're paying for your goods and so with the value added tax that are imposed by the government. Okay? So we have the invoice number. Then we have the name of our company or the one that we are an accountant. It's KKR Trading Company. The date when we purchase, the address of our company, and then the number of quantity we bought, the particular what do we bought, the unit price, so that we would know how much is that one for the pricing, and then the total amount. Then we also sign that the goods are received in good conditions. Okay, so here how we record the PJ1, because it's only one page, so the PJ1 is our reference when we put it on the ledger. Because folio we don't have because we didn't put the ledger, the different account to the ledger yet. So that's why I didn't fill it up. So you have the date. Remember the date that we had in our invoice. So we have January 5, 2020, Rich purchase merchandise, or you could also put in here t-shirt. Then the invoice number is 201. Folio we don't because we had to cross-reference it with our ledger. And then the term of payment, we have 2% discount when we pay within 10 days and no discount when we pay after 10 days but before the 30 days. So our purchase, we debit purchases 15 and credit accounts payable 15. And on the next, it's just the same. So the date, our supplier, Kevin, what do we buy? It could be t-shirt or merchandise. The invoice number, the term, then the amount, 4,100 per purchase and accounts payable, 4,100. So the date again, then our supplier, car, merchandise, the invoice, no term because this particular supplier didn't give us any term. And the purchase and the accounts payable is the same. And other transaction would follow. Okay? So our total purchases is 27,200. Okay? So how do we record journal from our invoice? So we have now the invoice number is also the sales invoice number is also our purchase invoice number. Okay? Because for this one, we're not the seller, but we are the buyer. So we have the date when we purchased. Okay? Next, our supplier. So it's the Rich Company. And then the merchandise what we bought, t-shirt. So we just put on the merchandise since we only have one merchandise, t-shirts. But for our online suppliers or online seller, they would usually put the particular because they would be selling multiple products so that they would know on which supplier they bought this specific product. Okay? Next, we have the amount. That's 1.5 because the total amount should be the purchases and our payable. And then the term, and there is also the term, okay? So, how do we post the purchase journal to our ledger? Take note that we have two kinds of ledger. We have the general ledger and subsidiary ledger. So, general ledger is usually our umbrella account. Okay? So, contain information on all the accounts. So, meaning this is the cash, the accounts receivable. So, these are our umbrella account. Whereas subsidiary ledger contain the information to the specific account on a certain general ledger. So actually, general ledger, we already do this in our video ledger and ledger versus the account. So subsidiary ledger is almost the same as ledger, but this pertain to a specific account. For example, we have general ledger as cash, but cash has different banks. So each and different banks would have a subsidiary ledger. So for this one, since we have the accounts payable, but to whom we are indebted or to whom we owe, so each supplier would now have each subsidiary ledger. Okay? Because it's a specific account. So let's see. So for this one, this is a subsidiary ledger because take note the account is a rich company. So it's our supplier. Okay? So the sheet number, this is now what we put in our folio. So that we would know on what specific ledger this particular account is recorded. Okay? So it's 301. So this will now what we put now in our folio. So we have the date. It's still January 5, 2020. The detail, we have purchases and then the term so that we would know if we wanted to avail the discount or not. Then we also have the another one, purchased, and then 210. Then the PJ1 is our reference from which we get this particular posting. So we have 1.5 and 7,000. So our liability to reach is 8,500. Okay. So if you would see for Kevin, it's the same. We just put on all the recordings from our purchase journal. That's why the reference is purchase journal 1 because it's page 1. And then you have sheet 3. This is what we now put on the folio on all the account pertaining to, on all the purchases pertaining to Kevin. And so with car. Okay, so the sheet would now be, because this is what we now put in our folio. Okay, so this is now our general ledger. If you would see, it's accounts payable. This is the umbrella account. Then we would just put 3. So that's why we have sub 01, so that we know that all the 3 account in our subsidiary ledger pertain to only one general ledger, which is our accounts payable. Okay, so we could use PJ1, 27,200. These are composed of our liability to reach 8,500, to Kevin 15,100, and to car 3,600. All in all, 27,200. Okay, so our purchases, we had to put 5 on our folio. So what's our purchases for the whole month? It's 27,200. Usually in general ledger, we have the option to record it day to day if it's too many. But if it's too many, you could also record it on a week or on a monthly basis. Okay? So that it would be easier for you. Then we also now take the contra account of our purchase journal, which is our purchase return journal. So, purchase return journal is a special journal used to record the return of inventory to the vendor or any allowance taken from them. So, these are usually our purchase return and allowance. Okay? So, if the goods received from the seller are defective, damaged, or low quality or not according to specification, the buyer may return all court to arrange an allowance. So, meaning you pay a lesser amount. So, we use the debit memo. So we have now the purchase return journal. So purchase return journal look like this. So you have the date, the supplier's name, the purchase invoice, the folio. And then for this time, the accounts payable is debited and the purchase return is credited. Why? Because this is a contra purchase discount or the contra purchase account. Because you return the purchase or you receive an allowance, meaning you need to pay a lesser amount. So how does debit memo look like? So it looks like this. So you have the debit memo, the number, And then the name of the company or the supplier you had to debit, the address, the purchase amount, then the term, and then the, so let's see how it look like. So we record the date, and then to whom we had returned the product. It's which company. The debit memo number is 1. This one is also for our ledger account. Then we have now 300. So see, you have now debit memo. So for the number or the debit memo number, and then we have the company name, the amount, and the date. Okay? So this would now look like this. Okay? So for purchase return, we had to debit it 300. So it's now only. And for our purchases, we had to put on our return. Or you could have another ledger account for purchase return and allowance. Okay? So for Rich, we had to put it also on Rich account. Why? So we know that our liabilities to Rich is only 8,200. Okay? So if you like this video, please help me reach out more people by hitting the subscribe and the like button below. God bless you. Bye.